At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Welcome into the new Lloydminster Nissan, now located on Highway 17 South in our brand new building. And here at the new Lloydminster Nissan, we are overstocked. So if you're looking for new or a pre-owned vehicle, specifically new because we have a large inventory of new, you might want to stop in and see us because we've got some great incentives right now, including some cashback bonuses, and you might just win a trip to Las Vegas. Lionel Romanchuk is here, and we're going to be talking today about haying in the 30s at Mallaig, Alberta. So we're really, really looking forward to that. It's not just a name, it is Superior Water. Superior Water has 2 locations in Lloydminster and open on Sundays to make filling your big blue jugs a whole lot quicker and easier. And if you want great tasting water right from your tap, you can call Superior Water and ask about their under-the-sink reverse osmosis systems. 780-875-6636. I drink Spiro water because I like the taste. It is Superior Water. Superior Water, open on 57th Avenue, Monday to Friday from 8 to 6, and Saturdays and Sundays 10 to 5. And don't forget, a coin-operated location also on Highway 17 South by 7-Eleven. Well, I want to start this morning with the fire that happened at Spiro's this morning. There was a small fire in the kitchen at Spiro's this morning, and I talked to Maria Kokonis directly, and she wanted to pass along that there was minimal damage done, and they don't expect that if they do have to close for some time, it will be a very, very short time. In fact, she's hoping they could even get open by tomorrow night. But what happened was the Cisco driver. So I used to work for Cisco, so I kind of know how this works. Sometimes you'll get the passcode to a restaurant, and when you're delivering groceries, there's nobody at that restaurant, but you can go in through the back door, open it up, put the groceries inside, put the frozen items in the cooler, that kind of stuff, leave the rest of it out, and then the staff will come in and put it all away. This Cisco driver came in and noticed something wrong in the kitchen and immediately called 911, preventing what could have been a huge, huge fire. So I like to call him the Cisco Kid. The Cisco Kid is really the hero in this situation. And when I talked to Maria, she said, yeah, everything is fine, thank goodness. And they're back up and running shortly, and it won't affect Maria Days, which is happening very shortly as well. And that was, what about Maria Days? No, we're gonna be just fine. So, thank you to this gentleman from Cisco who saved what many know is a real gem for the city of Lloydminster at Spiro's Restaurant. Another Chase the Ace draw at the Lloydminster Exhibition Wednesday night. The deck now down to 36 cards, and get this: the jackpot is now over $50,000. I don't know about you, but $50,000 for me would be life-changing. So tickets are just $10 each, 3 for $25, 8 for $50, or 20 for $100. If you haven't been buying them, now's the time to start buying those Chase the Ace tickets. And if you've been buying them, keep buying them and maybe improve your odds. The Bar Colony Heritage Society and Richard Larson Bar Colony Foundation, along with the Museum and Archives, presents Heritage Day at Weaver Park 1 week from today on August 5th. That kicks off with a free pancake breakfast, and we'll get the details on Wednesday when organizer Beth Bernard joins us here on Live with Kurt Price. The U15A Lloydminster Liners are off to nationals after winning provincials to raise funds for the trip to Montreal. They'll be hosting a barbecue and bake sale on Wednesday at Synovus Place. And I've got some other fun fundraisers coming up as well. We'll get the details from some of the team members tomorrow morning here on Live with Kurt Price. And Sandy Beach will host another summer market on Sunday, August 4th. The Kids Zone features bouncy castles, and the tent guys also have a craft zone for the kids. And, of course, there is the lake to have some fun in as well. And you have the chance to win a $500 home hardware gift card. And once again, plenty of vendors, lots of food, some great entertainment. Runs from 10 to 4, and it's certainly going to be, by the looks of things, a nice long weekend so far. BioClean Disaster Services is committed, certified, reliable, and will help you get your life back. BioClean Disaster Services at 1-833-246-8326. Wind, which we certainly saw over the past week, fire, flood. You want to call a local company. Not only is BioClean Disaster Services a local company, they're also Lloydminster's largest disaster service company. So if you're looking for restoration, call 1-833-246-8326. That's BioClean Disaster Services, taking care of your property, taking care of your belongings, but mainly taking care of your family. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Lionel Romanchuk on Hang in the 30s.
It's more than just taxes at LNA CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at LNA CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. LNA CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster. How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
Well, for those individuals 55 and over that are still looking to live their independent life, but are looking to get out of a large home where there's so much more responsibility, Wellings of Lloydminster now presents 1 or 2 bedroom gorgeous villas for those that, yes, are wanting to travel more and not wanting to have to worry about what's going on with the big house and the big yard at home. Or for those that are starting to worry about their health, but they're not ready to maybe take the further step and go into a senior complex. You can go into Wellings of Lloydminster, and these gorgeous villas are set up so they're maintenance free and they're perfect for those that still want to have a pet, still want to have a workbench in the garage so they can putter around in, but yes, park in the garage. If you haven't taken a tour yet, you should do so, because what they're trying to build is a really nice neighborhood that will be centered around a beautiful clubhouse that is under construction. So big picture windows, beautiful appliances, nice backsplash, high ceilings or low ceilings, it's your choice. You call Darlene and you have a walk through a villa, 780-872-8537. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Lionel Romanchuk, and if you haven't seen Lionel at many events, then you're not going to the right events, because I have run into Lionel at quite a few events here in Lloydminster, and he is always generous with his time, and he's given us some today. Not only given us some time on the program, but he's driven into Lloydminster to talk to us about Hang in the 30s. So Lionel, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you coming in.
Many thanks, Kurt. I'm always passionate to talk about Hang in the 30s. Probably the biggest reason is how many people they help, how genuine and how believable they actually are. When people come to Hang in the 30s, now feature, if you will, an event that'll attract 4,000 people over the weekend. they'll come into the gates for free. They camp for free. And Haying in the 30s will feed them 3 meals a day for free. Now, if you are wondering how can you operate an event like this, and yet by Sunday night when they count the bank, there'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of $325,000 in the bank, all people's donations. And people love to come to Haying in the 30s. First and foremost, it seems to me that people are looking for the right thing to do, for a good thing to do for your community, for your fellow human beings, and that's what Haying in the 30s is all about. When it first started, I think this is perhaps year number 26 for it. They had to shut down a couple of years during COVID, but it came back bigger and better than ever. And so 26 years ago, Mr. Corbier, Edgar Corbier, and his wife, they had one of their kids was in treatment. And what had happened back then was all of the neighbors and their friends got together to help them out in any way they could. And they had such an attitude of gratitude for what people had done for them when they had someone in treatment. So they decided that then as it ended up, another family had someone who was in treatment and were hard up. They needed some funding. So they decided to put on an old-fashioned haying demonstration and do it with horses, just the way they would do back in the 1930s. They did this. They advertised it a little bit, and they didn't charge anyone. They just took donations. That very first year, they created $3,500 for the family that had someone in treatment. Then they decided to make it into an annual event. As it evolved today, they've built an entire town, Criteria 1930. It covers pretty near a whole quarter section of land. Every building there, every display there is all done by volunteers. Not one penny of people's volunteer money has ever gone towards anything like that. You wonder, how can you let everyone come in for free, feed everyone, let everyone camp for free, and still have this work out? And it's because corporations will donate, for an example, just for their operating fund. There is a big corporation who writes them a check each year to operate on so that they don't have to use people's donation money. All of that donation money goes right into the homes of someone who's in treatment. Therefore, example, the Saturday night supper. They'll feed over 2,000 people with 4-H beef in less than an hour. They're so good at it, you can't even believe it. The lineup will be from here to like hundreds and hundreds of yards long, and yet 50 minutes later, everyone is sitting down eating. Where do they get the beef from? Well, companies, corporations, they go to the steer sales and they buy the steers, okay? There's a volunteer with Haying in the 30s who backgrounds those steers. There's a feed company who supplies the feed for them. And then there's a couple of the packing plants who will donate the process on them. They'll hang that beef and deliver it to Haying in the 30s to go into their cookers without ever being frozen. And so you see there, it's sort of like the old days when people used to stop and eat together. Well, they've got 2,000 people doing this. And when I MC there, I always tell the people that come to Haying in the 30s, because it's on the same weekend as Big Valley. So I say all the rowdies went to Big Valley, all of the nice people came to Haying in the 30s, right? So being the MC there, I've gotten a chance to hear a lot of the stories, and I encourage it. You know, I want people who've been in treatment to come and talk to me and tell me their story. I want people who are coming there to make presentations. You see, because Haying in the 30s has gotten far beyond just the weekend. There's other towns holding events, Lloydminster Cutter Rally, for example, that donate to Haying in the 30s. Part of their proceeds, all of their proceeds perhaps, will go to Haying in the 30s. So just as an example, I had 3 little girls come up to me, and they said, "We would like to do a presentation." I says, "Okay, what's your story?" Well, we're the graduating class from the Glendon High School, and we earned money to pay for our graduation. When graduation was all done, all our bills were paid for, we had $3,500 left over. So we had a meeting to see what to do with this money. So one kid says, well, let's give it to next year's graduating class. Another kid says, how about if we let next year's graduating class earn their own damn money? And so they remembered, now get this, they remembered a little girl a friend of theirs who they had lost to cancer in third grade. These kids showed up at Haying in the 30s to donate this $3,500 in this little girl's name. If you ever wanted something that pulled at your heartstrings, if you ever wanted to see young people in this world who are doing the right thing, there it was. And that's just one of the many, many stories. I get people coming up all the time, to tell me that when they were in treatment and they got a check from Haying in the 30s, and it helped so much because, lots of times when you're in treatment, you can't work. Things are tight with money and stuff. And to get a check like that will really help out. But almost every one of them said that knowing that we came from a community who cared so much about us, about each other, to do this event every single year, it gave us the will to fight. And the will to fight when you're dealing with cancer is probably number one. When you have the will to fight it, you can fight it. And cancer can be beaten. I hear the stories out there all the time. As an example, I'm a cancer survivor. So when I was in treatment, one of the older board members found out about it. And he calls me up and he says, listen, he says, I'm putting your name in. And I said, please don't do it because I haven't missed any work. I'm fine. I said, listen, there's young families who really do need this much more than I do. He says, I'll tell you what then. I'm going to put your name in. When you get a check, cash it, and then redonate it, and we'll send you a tax receipt. And I thought, now you're talking my language. And so, when you do make a donation at Haying in the 30s, of course, you do get a tax receipt. And, because it is like a nonprofit organization. To come there, can we talk about the visit there now?
Yeah, absolutely. Please
to come there and visit Haying in the 30s is absolutely mind-boggling. How big it's gotten, how much stuff, displays they have, all criteria 1930s. So if you take your kids there, your grandkids, it's like a living, breathing history lesson. And they'll begin Saturday about 10 o'clock in the morning with the opening ceremonies. Then they'll go right into the parade. We've had as many as 48 teams of horses in the parade.
Wow.
And then all day long, there's horse-drawn demonstrations, everything from a thrashing machine, because, you drive around the countryside, and a lot of kids see these old thrashing machines sitting, but they don't really know what they do. At Haying in the 30s, you get to see them work. Shingle mill machines, horse-drawn water well, out there raking hay and everything else, all with horses. So, people from the city who've never gotten to experience this, and kids get to see this for the first time. They have a train station, they have a morgue, they have a saloon. All day long, they have a huge building now that they call it the town hall, and there's bands playing in there all day. As an example, a lot of them are recording artists. So if you want to buy one of their discs, you can, but you go to the donation booth, you donate $20, you bring your receipt back, they hand you your disc. You see, nobody makes a penny off of Haying in the 30s. Just as another example, there's a gentleman from Manville. His name is Ed Storch, and he's a knife maker. So everyone's seen the show on TV called Forged in Fire, where they make these incredible knives. Well, Ed does this at Haying in the 30s. So he calls me up and he says, Lionel, do you think that we could sell some of these knives? And I says, well, Ed, why not? He says, because they might be considered as dangerous weapons. I says, well, Ed, then we just won't sell them to criminals. And so we sell these knives, and they're a work of art. They're an incredible work of art. We auction them. They'll average at least $400 each. People just have to go up to the donation booth, make a donation in that amount, bring their receipt back. There's their knife, you see. So we're selling like 8 or 10 of these knives each weekend now that Ed has created, donated completely, 100%. And, so now it's making like $5,000 or $6,000 for haying in the 30s, just over this guy's, one man's generosity, and it happens all over the place at haying in the 30s. It's the most totally, genuinely amazing event, and people love coming there. It's relaxing, it's fun. The camping area and stuff. People are visiting and eating together and stuff in the evenings or whatever. They will start pulling in on Friday when they open the gates and stay the whole entire weekend. And it is truly an incredible event.
Lionel, when you say they have built and they have this and who are they?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's all volunteer. 100% people who come year in and year out. One guy he's a friend of mine, and he is a horseman. He has stagecoaches, so he built a stage stop where every day he does a demonstration on hooking up 4 horses and how you would operate a stagecoach. People get to come up and interact with his horses and stuff. The way the barn that he's built actually has it so the horses are looking out the front of it, and people can come up and pet these horses, interact with them. Different things like that. There's a wheelwright. He's actually a neighbor of mine from Lindbergh, and his son is a professional chuck wagon driver. But Morris is a wheelwright, and so he puts on a demonstration there, show you how these wooden wheels were made for these wagons back, right from the 1800s, and just all kinds of displays and events like that. But everyone is a volunteer, and people will spend a lot of their own money to create these displays and stuff like that, come back every year to man them and run them and talk to people about them. And, it's just such a wonderful atmosphere to spend a weekend in, and bring your kids and bring your grandparents.
There must be so much work ahead of the weekend. That's all done with volunteers as well?
100%.
To prepare for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell us about what they call worker bees.
Oh, it starts just about as soon as the snow goes. They'll be out there and start to improving. Every year they will have different projects that they want to improve on. So the workers, all of the volunteers will start coming out to these work bees and stuff like that. They'll even go out and they cut all the grass around there, and then they pile it, and they let these kids go and play in it. Now, if you had the finest gym equipment in the world, the kids couldn't possibly have as much fun as they do playing in this big haystack. And they'll come out of there and they got hay in their hair and whatnot, and they just have a ball. They have a petting zoo for the kids, a rope making demonstration, face painting. So I'll go over, and I love to go over and interview these kids while they're getting these face paintings, and I call them tattoos. And I say, "Does it hurt?" As I heard the tattoos really hurt. No, it's just paint. They tell me, but it's fun to see how much they enjoy it and stuff. What else do they do for those kids? There's a lot of things. The petting zoo, people will bring all of these animals in and leave them through the weekend, so that there's a lot of times there's city kids and stuff. That's the only time that they would have an interaction with these animals, would be in a situation like haying in the 30s.
This has all been done over 36 years. Who's built all this? Is that all volunteers?
100% volunteer. Yeah.
So to build the railroad station, bring in some volunteers. Let's get it done.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Someone probably
They add something every. How did it start? Like, I'm amazed at how it's grown.
Yes. Well, with Mr. Edgar Corbier, when he started it back in the day with that old time haying demonstration. And so then people were saying, well, word got out how much fun it was to get to see this and stuff. And pretty soon it just began to grow to the point where there's people wanting to donate land and allowing them to have a place to build all of these displays and stuff. And, you know, so the train station, for example, was most likely, you know, an old railroader who really wanted to show what a train station was like back around, you know, when they first put the railroad across this country. You know, all kinds of different displays like that. There's a dairy where they actually make homemade ice cream there and hand it out to whoever wants it. And, you know, so that people can see how all of this stuff was done back criteria 1930.
So if I was a city slicker, Lionel, I would say, you do all this for one weekend?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is it open one weekend a year?
Just one weekend a year. You know, it's not, say, like Ukrainian Village, where it's actually a tourist stop, I suppose. The main focus always is to help people in cancer treatment. And, you know, with the cancer, I mean, every family has been affected. And, you know, so people understand what it's like to have someone in treatment, to lose someone from cancer. And so it compels people to want to come and help. And, you know, that's what it takes, you know, like I said, to give that will to fight. When you know how many people care what you're going through, want to help, want to get together and do this, it really does encourage people to carry on and to fight this thing and to beat it.
If you want to come to Hang in the 30s, Lionel, do you have to let somebody know you're coming?
Absolutely not. Just hook onto your trailer. You know, most people start coming on the Friday when they first open the gates because the main campground fills right up. But there's overflow and stuff, and they don't turn anyone away. They have people haulers to bring you in out of the campgrounds and stuff, all volunteer once again. You know, some of the dealerships who never ever get a chance to advertise, they just send their tractors over, the side-by-sides and stuff that we need around there to perform different functions are all donated by the dealerships, and yet the dealerships don't have their signs on these vehicles because it's not about, what would the word I'm looking for?
It's not about recognition.
Yes, it's all about doing the right things. Recognition, that's a perfect term. And see, that's why I like hanging out with you. You come up with, when I get stumped, you're there for me. Thank you. Yeah. But no, it's just, it's so incredible. And I would encourage anyone to go out. Take your kids, take your camper. That's the best way to do it. Like, some people will just come for the day. And there's a huge parking lot up top, of course, and people movers to bring you down. But to come and camp, that's when you really get to experience it. There'll be a dance on Saturday nights and stuff. There's no, you know, they don't serve alcohol or stuff, but they don't discourage it. If you wish to have a drink or something, that's fine.
At your trailer.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just the supper part of it, the live auction. The live auctions just becomes so much fun. It's just a riot because we got some of the best auctioneers in the business who come to volunteer to sell this sale. All of the items are all donated, and there's some really great items. And I've seen situations where, for example, last year we had a little bar fridge, and it had a wrap on it with all kinds of pictures from Hang in the 30s on this wrap. But the fridge is worth $250 maybe. I've seen that thing. We sold it for $1,500. The guy says, sell it again. He redonated it, so he's going to pay his $15,000. That bar fridge sold 4 times. It probably got $5,000 or $6,000. Everybody knowing full well they're overpaying for it and happy to do it because they know that their money is going to go to help someone.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll ask Lionel about those people that have been helped, how it helps, and possibly how it could help you or a member of your family when we come back here at the Lloydminster Nissan.
At Jason Arden and Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden and Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
At CK McKean Roofing, they understand what it took to put that roof over your head for your family. With over 20 years of experience under their belt, they strive to show you that with their workmanship and their integrity. Not all roofing companies are created equal, and that's why CK McKean Roofing encourages you to focus on your most important investments, your home and your family. CK McKean Roofing. Roofers do it on top.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
We're back here at the new Lloydminster Nissan with Lionel Romanchuk, and we're talking about haying in the 30s. And Lionel, we mentioned it's the same weekend as Big Valley Jamboree, but if anybody's wondering when that is, it's this weekend.
It's the August long weekend every year.
Yeah, at 2 days.
2 days. So it starts Saturday morning. The gates will open Friday night, so the campers start to pull in Friday night, find their camping spot, get set up for the weekend, because so many people, they'll come from all across Canada. We've had people from different countries, and they just come for the entire weekend. Now, not to say that some people don't come for the day. There's lots that do. People movers everywhere to help people get around and stuff like that. Older people who have trouble walking, they have the big side-by-sides and whatnot to take them actually through the displays themselves. There's horse rides all day long, both days. And so this year, there's a young fella who wants to MC it. So I'm going to bring my sound system for him and get him set up and whatnot. He can do the opening ceremonies and the parade and stuff. And I get to take my team this year. And I've always wanted to, but I've always been the MC, so, you can't do both. But now we got this young guy, and, he wanted to get started doing some of this MC type stuff. He's a great speaker, and he's just one of them guys that you really, you like him almost immediately. You like listening to him and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to turning him loose with it and getting to bring my team and doing the parade to start with, then the rides and stuff. The parade is incredible. We've had as many as 48 teams of horses. We have bios on all of the horses plus all of the drivers. So, you get to learn a little bit about these horses and stuff like that. And a lot of people, especially the horse crazy girls, they just love to hear about these teams and where they come from, how old they are, what their names are, stuff like that. And then, then as the day unfolds itself, they start doing the horse-drawn demonstrations from raking hay to, as mentioned earlier, they even have a horse-drawn water well. And then they give rides all day long. The rides are set up sort of so that people have to come up kind of to a fence, and then there's a custodian there who will get them safely on and off the wagons. Because with any horse events, there's an inherent danger, but they've learned how to diffuse all of that. The horses pull into a hitching rail, and they stand and wait till everybody's loaded, and then back out and turn and go. And the rides, I've been on them probably 35, 40 minutes, where you just get to go and relax and watch how a team of horses work, and people love to ask questions about them, and just to get to experience that. A lot of times, you see the chuck wagon races at the Calgary Stampede, but do you get to ride in a chuck wagon? But at Haying in the 30s, you do get to ride on a wagon and stuff.
Yeah.
And
you were telling me volunteers come every year from far and away. People who have moved away, they want to come back to help volunteer with this because it's so important to them. How did you first get involved with Haying in the 30s?
I was emceeing Dewberry's event, and they called it Hope in Motion. And so Dewberry had lost someone to cancer, and someone decided, let's get together and create a night. We'll have a silent auction and a supper and stuff like that, and we will give our proceeds to Haying in the 30s. And so some of the representatives, the board members from Haying in the 30s had come to Dewberry, and I met them, got to talk to them a little bit, and they saw me MC, and they must have liked how I did things, I guess, because I like to keep it a lot of fun and keep it upbeat and stuff, and just make it fun for everyone. And so then I get a phone call that they needed an MC for Haying in the 30s. And I thought...
Did you know what it was at that time?
Not really, no. I had never been out there. I'd heard about it, but see, I senior pro rodeoed until I was in my 50s. And so I would always be on the road then, because our rodeos, we'd have a Montana run right over that August long weekend. And so I'd be gone rodeoing. And then when I quit rodeoing, I had quit rodeoing by that time. And so I got to go out there completely cold and do it. But right from the very first time, they never, ever had to talk me into it again. I was always ready to go. And I just loved every spring when they started having their meetings and stuff to get that phone call and say, will you come back again this year? And it was always, absolutely, I'm on board.
How does it help people, Lionel? Like, is the money given for specifically travel expenses? How does it go about helping those fight cancer?
No, the check is just made out in the recipient's name, and so they can do whatever they need with it, pay bills, help travel and stuff like that. When I was in treatment, I traveled from Lindbergh to the Cross every morning, just because for me it was more functional to drive and come home. So I would be at my appointment at 8:30 in the morning, home by noon, and then I'd go in my saddle shop and I could still feel like I was somewhat functional. But travel expenses are great nowadays. Price of fuel and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we get at Haying in the 30s. I always ask if there's anyone from a different province, from a different country. We've had people from all over the world. We've had people from all the way across Canada. And of course I get to tease them and stuff. That I'm glad people from BC had enough gas to get here. I love to find people from Saskatchewan because I always like calling it the civilized province. And and then it's always fun to tease someone from Quebec, right? And and we get it all the time. It's always in such good fun and good humor. Nobody ever gets upset about anything or anything like that. And we just try to make the whole event, the whole atmosphere as positive and as good of energy as possible. And when you hold charity events, I guess as an MC, the whole idea is to get people in the proper frame of mind and in the proper mood to donate their hard-earned money for a good cause. And it seems like Haying in the 30s has no problem doing that at all. Once again, it's so genuinely believable. Because you hear stories all the time of different organizations, and actually only 10 cents on your dollar made it to the location where it was supposed to go. At Haying in the 30s, 100% ends up in the homes where it belongs. You see, Like I mentioned, a corporation writes a check each year for operating expenses. All of the beef, all of the food that's used is donated. It's, you know, it's not just the citizens, it's the corporate citizens, the business citizens that are on board with this as well. And yet nobody expects to be advertised for it or anything. They all want to do it for that good cause.
36 years is a long time to help cancer patients. Would you have any idea the number of people that hang in the 30s?
Literally thousands. And so when I was talking with the organizers from the Lloydminster Cutter Rally, and because hanging in the 30s is one of their benefactors, they said, do you have a list of people from the Lloydminster area who have been helped, or is it just around the Mallaig area? And I says, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get you a list. I made one phone call. Immediately, I had an entire list of all of the people from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, all around the Lloydminster area, every person who's ever been helped. And it's far and wide, and it spreads southern Alberta. You know, if someone needs help, they're there.
How do you go about, you know, you're in cancer treatment right now, or you have a family member that's in cancer treatment right now. Lionel, how do you go about applying?
Oh, there's application forms on the website. So you just download that application form. You have to get a doctor's signature on it, just to ever prevent any fraud or anything, because once again, they're very adamant about this going to the right places. And you just fill out your application, get your doctor to sign it, and then you send it in. And of course, there's volunteers who are constantly receiving these things, writing the checks, getting them out in the mail and stuff like that. And and that's basically how it works. You don't have to have people apply for you, but a lot of times you do. In my case, there you see, I wasn't going to, but I had it done for me, and then it felt really good, to redonate that. I will get people that come up to me and they'll say, I was in treatment 10 years ago and I got a check from Hanging in the 30s, and it felt so good to know that people cared so much that this would happen, and it really did help. Now, I'm done with treatment. I'm back on my feet. I come to Hanging in the 30s every year. I got a $1,000 check 10 years ago. I come back every year and donate $1,000. And you hear stories like that all the time.
Absolutely. Hanging in the 30s is this Saturday and Sunday. Lionel, is there anything I'm forgetting to ask you that you want people to know about?
I think we've really covered it. I hope that this encourages people to come out, check it out, have an incredible weekend for a really, really good cause.
Thank you, Lionel.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I certainly appreciate you guys asking me to come here.
We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, and we have a couple of team members from the under-15 Liners ball team that is heading off to Montreal to compete in nationals, and they're going to have a fundraiser as well that they'll tell us about that's happening on Wednesday. Plus, Taya Graham is playing U18 football and has just returned from Fredericton, New Brunswick, where she was representing and playing on the Alberta girls team. So she's going to join us to talk about why she likes football so much. So we'll have that for you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, right here from the new Lloydminster Nissan. And once again, thank you to our guest, Lionel Romanchuk.